on the, on the but I did have a part two to say about this Israel stuff. It's really tricky for Christians, and this is the emphasis I wanted to talk about, who will feel that we have sort of a bit of a loyalty to Israel, the idea of the Judeo-Christianity, and um, the idea that comes from how the New Testament Gospels and the New Testament canon was formed, that it is intrinsically linked to the Old Testament, and you can't get away from that. The Old Testament and the New Testament are literally linked together, and so actually, in that respect, the Old Testament is aimed explicitly at the Jewish nation, the Jewish people, and whoever those Jewish people were of the Old Covenant, that links in a very special way to the New Covenant and to New Testament Christianity. Now, obviously, there's a view. Different Christians have different views. Some Christians believe in replacement theology, that they will believe that the church, the New Testament church, the saints, the believers who are Christians, have replaced Israel. So God's done with Israel now. That was a previous dispensation, and now it's about the church. Others believe that it's kind of a bit of a hybrid. The church is the emphasis, bride of Christ, the ecclesia is the emphasis, but God still has a purpose for Israel and Jerusalem. And some people are fully invested in Israel and Jerusalem, say no, God is completely invested in Israel and Jerusalem. Yes, the church is the new covenant, but we are literally to be linked directly to our Jewish brothers and sisters in Israel, and we are to support Israel on every level. And so there is a plethora of views and ideologies and thoughts onto how the church relates to Israel. And when you see situations where the Israeli government is getting into a war, I mean, it's already in a war, but getting into a greater war where Iran is going to really retaliate, I mean, USA are really getting involved in that, you're going to have a situation where every Christian believer will have to think about where they are in their heart and in their mind on this situation. It's going to draw out, if we're on the fence or if we're kind of unsure, it's going to draw out us to what is our firm position on Israel. Are we standing with Israel? Are we supporting Israel? Are we praying for Israel? Are we praying for Israel but against the political actions of Israel? Like, what are we going to do? And it is a tense situation, I think, obviously for the people in the Middle East, including Palestine, including Iran, and including Israel. There's always innocent people involved on every side. When I say innocent, I mean the young and the children and the old and people who just need to be looked after in every culture and society. And there's always those people who are very vulnerable, and then children who are very innocent, who are going to get caught up in the crossfire. And it is not right, and it's not good that this happens, but it is part of the world that we live in. And so we need to pray. We need to pray for the children. We need to pray for the innocent. We need to pray for those caught up in these difficult situations in the Middle East right now. And I'm talking to people who believe in God on this one, that we need to be very prayerful about this, and we need to be very mindful about this. And each man and woman has to really, for themselves, decide on what they believe is the right thing to do with the Middle East. Some people are very alarmist and saying, well, that's it, Trump has just started World War III, and guys, you know, people are putting memes about World War III on Twitter/X, and it's like, that's the end of the world now. Countdown to the apocalypse. World War III is about to kick off, and we need to be very careful on that. I don't want to be sort of overreacting and just kind of very much one of those people that is always jumping on the hype of every political manoeuvring. There's a lot of political manoeuvring here, and yes, we know that that Iran will retaliate. And obviously, if you bomb up somebody's country, they are going to retaliate. I mean, let's not be confused about that. If you go into somebody's country and start dropping bombs or start throwing missiles on their country, they are going to retaliate. That is perfectly normal and natural. What would happen if you invade somebody or attack somebody on any level, when it comes geopolitics, when you look at the history of nations on the earth, if you attack somebody, they're gonna attack back. Okay, that's just the way it works. So from a Christian point of view, from a gospel point of view, from people who believe in God point of view, for those who say that they are, Bible believing Christians, we need to be very, very sober minded about the times that we're living in. We need to be very prayerful, and we need to be, and whatever actions are taking place, whether it's Donald Trump or any other leader of any powerful, whether it's Putin or whoever it is, we need to demand that our leaders are accountable to us. The one thing that come out of this thing for me, what Trump has done, which is problematic, is that not getting the support of Congress, and that's this kind of like presidential action of, okay, this unilateral sort of, okay, he's going to go ahead and do it himself. It's his prerogative. It's like, whoa, like who are the American people supporting this? Now, if the American people are supporting it, then okay, it is what it is. The American people are supporting it. But if the American people are not supporting it, then should it be happening? Should the leader of the free world and the highest political office in the world currently, in contemporary times, should he, commander-in-chief, be essentially putting the world in a risky situation, potentially leading to greater conflict? I'm not going to necessarily say World War III, although there's a potentiality for that. I don't want to be an alarmist, so I'm not necessarily saying World War III. But should he really be put in a situation like that, where this sort of thing could happen without Congress or of the American people? And I think that's where you have to be very careful, and that's where you have to say, actually, is it the will of the people that you're attacking Iran? Are Iran a credible threat? Do they have nuclear weapons? Well, we've had that with Iraq before. We were told Iraq had nuclear weapons, WMDs, and then we found out, oh, actually they don't have it. They didn't have them. And the war under George Bush and Tony Blair, the war was waged on false pretenses. We were lied to. We were lied to and deceived as the people of USA, people of Great Britain. We were lied to and deceived by our elected officials. And a war in Iraq was waged on false pretenses. It essentially ended up being an illegal war. It was illegal, and it wasn't right, morally wrong, and it was illegal as well. So we need to hold our elected officials, including the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America, including the Prime Minister of Great Britain, for me, as a UK lad. We need to be holding our elected officials to accountability, because these are people's lives. It's the lives of people that are going to get caught up in this conflict. It's also the lives of our own armed forces who, if it escalates that much, will be getting involved in this. These are perilous times and very important decisions, and we need to be very sober-minded. And if you are a Christian, a believer, someone who prays to the Lord, if you believe in God, if you are someone of faith, we need to be very, very vigilant, spiritually and prayerfully, very vigilant, sober-minded, focused, and we need to be holding our elected officials and politicians to the highest standard of accountability. We need to be holding them to the highest standards of accountability. These are to be very careful and be very prudent about the time, guys. In politics, and things calm down and settle down, and it's back to the status quo. But right now we don't know, and what we do know is this: that Iran has been attacked, and we know they will retaliate. That's what we do know. Let's not be deceived. They will retaliate. And Trump saying now there will be peace is an absolute lie. He knows they will retaliate. He knows they will, unless there's some backhand, which means they won't do it. But I mean, come on. Under the normal course of action, they will retaliate. So what's going on? again, that's just part two to my earlier one. Hope you guys are keeping well and keeping safe in the times we're living in. And I'll be back with you again soon on Christian Fandom Kick. God bless you.